Tonight, a drowning investigation near St. Mary's after a teenage girl went swimming at a conservation area and didn't resurface. Plus, traffic safety in West London.
There have been ongoing issues at this intersection, especially for the last couple of years.
The resident concerns after a fatal motorcycle crash, calling for new measures. And honor in pride.
I don't back down, and they know that. I do not step back.
Why a longtime community supporter was named this year's Grand Marshal for London's Pride Parade.
CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with a fatal crash north of London from early this morning. Police say there was only one vehicle involved and a 28-year-old woman was killed. Emergency responders say they were called to the scene just east of Granton just before 7 this morning. They say the woman was driving a pickup south on Perth Road 139 when she crossed over the northbound lane and hit a tree. They say she was the only one in the vehicle and was pronounced dead at the scene. According to police, she was not wearing a seatbelt, and officers say there's been a surge in recent deaths and serious injuries for similar reasons. Grey Bruce OPP say they're investigating a fatal multi-vehicle collision near Flesherton. Police say two pickup trucks collided Sunday morning, killing both drivers, a 22-year-old man and a 59-year-old man. They say a passenger survived, taken to hospital with life-altering injuries. Emergency responders say a 13-year-old girl drowned last night at Wildwood Conservation Area near St. Mary's. Stratford police say they were called to the beach around 7 p.m. after the girl was reported missing. They say her body was recovered about an hour later. According to police, her family are from Hamilton and they were in the designated swimming area when the girl went missing. Signs at the beach indicate it's unsupervised with no lifeguards on duty. Provincial police say one of their officers is in serious condition after they were hit by a driver who they say was trying to flee a traffic stop. With more, here's Brent Lale.
An Elgin County OPP officer is recovering in hospital after a traffic stop went wrong near St. Thomas Sunday.
One of our Highway Safety Division members conducted a traffic stop on a pickup truck hauling a boat for a traffic violation. The driver took off, fled the scene from the officer, striking the officer with the truck and the trailer.
Multiple neighbors who wish not to be identified tell CTV News that a dozen or so police cars ascended here on Highway 3 in downtown Shedden and later made an arrest. A 40-year-old from London is charged with multiple offenses, including dangerous operation causing bodily harm, flight from a peace officer, resist peace officer, assault with intent to resist arrest, identity fraud, and 2 counts of failure to comply with a release order. The accused was held for bail.
When you do a traffic stop and there's no such thing as routine.
The Ontario Provincial Police Association is sending their best wishes to the injured officer. They say pulling someone over, especially in a rural area, can be dangerous.
I personally, I've stopped vehicles where they've had a loaded handgun under the seat, and one thing leads to another, and it happens pretty quickly. It's just another example that the police officers that are out there serving and protecting in the province of Ontario, they go above and beyond.
The incident closed the Highway 3 bypass for hours Sunday. Police are thanking the Good Samaritans and a quick response.
It was serious but non-life-threatening, and he will be okay.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
Residents in a West London neighborhood say they're growing increasingly concerned over traffic at a busy intersection. They want more done in the name of safety after a motorcycle rider was killed in a crash last week. Rita Ismail reports.
A tragic crash at Hyde Park Road and Fitzwilliam Boulevard has prompted area residents to call for immediate change. A man riding a motorcycle was killed just before 7 last Wednesday evening. Now neighbors are speaking out.
There have been ongoing issues at this intersection, especially for the last couple of years.
Pam Coolstring and Julia De Fonseca live just steps away from the intersection. In the days following the crash, they started a petition calling on the city to make the area safer, and they've already gathered 60 signatures
to ask the city to reassess and to implement safety measures at the intersection of Hyde Park and Fitzwilliam Boulevard.
Emergency crews responded to the collision last week, but the motorcyclist died in hospital. The cause of the crash is still under investigation.
There's been at least 3 other accidents. I had part of our wall taken out by an accident about a year ago. And it's really dangerous.
Longtime residents say speeding and even street racing have become all too common.
I'm very concerned about it. Volume, speed. You'll hear them racing down anytime after 10 o'clock till 1 o'clock in the morning. They're racing up and down Hyde Park. TVDSB Director of Education Bill Tucker, who has lived in the area for 27 years, says families are increasingly worried.
It's scary, to be honest with you. And with grandchildren around, we have to make sure that we're holding hands and that we're with them crossing at the lights. So we have, as a community member, really noticed a pickup in the speed and the traffic in this area and neighborhood.
Ward 8 Councillor Steve Lehman says he's heard the concerns and is working with city staff on possible solutions.
I work constantly with our roads, our traffic folks, to see how we can mitigate these concerns and work to have a safer city for sure.
The petition calls for a full traffic calming assessment at Hyde Park and Fitzwilliam. It will be submitted to City Hall in the coming weeks. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
Good evening. I'm meteorologist Gary Archibald for CTV News. We are blessed with beautiful conditions across the Great Lakes in its entirety. The only caveat, perhaps, is some showers gracing Lake Superior. But for the lower Great Lakes in particular, it looks good. Ridge of high pressure keeping things sunny, clear, with a nice gentle breeze at the surface. Temperatures in the mid-20s feel just like that. Humidity is relatively low, and we're looking at a bit of a cooler spot for the city at the airport. Still sunshine through to dusk, and it looks sunny tomorrow as well.
Thank you, Gary. New insights today on the number of people using London's online booking portal for paratransit service. It's been available for months now, but it's being used by just 10% of passengers. Daryl Newcomb has more on the impact for the riders who are using it.
We could do better.
Over 2 years ago, Dr. Jeff Preston joined with other paratransit riders in London, calling for service improvements, including an online booking option to reduce wait times on the telephone. That system launched earlier this year.
Now that it's here, I have to say I'm happy. The portal is relatively smooth. It's modern design. I personally find it relatively easy to use.
The London Transit Commission received an update about the online portal for booking paratransit rides. According to staff, 447 individuals have registered, representing about 10% of active riders and 9% of daily trip bookings. That's already matching the uptake seen in other cities.
Based on industry average, between 10 to 20% of riders who use specialized transit at other areas would get onto the online booking system, and we're sitting about 10%, which is really good.
An initial surge in telephone calls each morning used to result in about a 45-minute backlog, but the online portal has reduced the pressure on the telephone line, which now each morning has just about a 25-minute wait.
That is relieving the pressure on the telephone line, so the people that are choosing to continue to use the telephone are also having a better experience.
That to me is a revolution in the service. That fundamentally changes people's lives. We're giving them back not just 20 minutes a day, but we're talking hours of life being given back to people on a week-to-week basis.
Dr. Preston expects use of the online portal will increase when the weather changes this fall. He urges London Transit to continue to encourage and educate riders about the online option, noting that new technology can be challenging and intimidating for some people.
This is why we push so hard for online booking, because the more users we're able to get into the online portal, the easier it's going to be for people who simply are not able to book their rides online.
Regardless of which booking system a rider uses, the LTC ensures fair and equal access to the available trips on paratransit. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
St. Thomas fire crews responded to a large encampment fire near the elevated park yesterday. This drone footage shows the campsite burning in the woods. Firefighters said they weren't able to access the site because of the dense bush and its distance from the road. They say the flames eventually burned out, though, and there was no concern for spread. The children of two men who disappeared 30 years ago say they want closure. The official story, the pair were on a canoe trip and presumably drowned. As Scott Miller reports, their bodies were never recovered and the kids remain unconvinced.
Victoria Weidman and Anthony Lippett were too young to remember the day their fathers, Erwin Lippett and Simon Kirk Weidman, went missing during a family camping trip at the Brucedale Conservation Area near Port Elgin on this day 30 years ago.
I was 6 months old when Dad went missing. All I was told at first is him and Kirk went out on a canoe ride and didn't come back. They ended up drowning out here.
Lippett and Weidman's canoe was found, half full of water, as were paddles and life jackets. But the bodies of the 24 and 25-year-old young fathers were never recovered. While they were presumed drowned, several sightings of the pair over the years has sparked questions about Lippett and Weidman's actual whereabouts. Did they drown, or did they fake a drowning and start new lives?
The question has always been, did they actually go out in this canoe? Was it a ruse? There has been witness statements that come forward that said that they were seen the day or two after, even up to like a year after.
I couldn't imagine doing that and still being alive, which is something that's kind of been on our mind the entire time, right? Like, no body, no proof.
The Owen Sound-based missing persons investigators Please Bring Me Home are now on the case. They recognize trying to locate two men presumed drowned in Lake Huron 30 years ago is a very tall task.
Really difficult to run a search for somebody who's been missing for 30 years, let alone on Lake Huron. It's not impossible. A needle in a haystack would be easier, but it's not impossible.
It was just me doing it for years and years and years. Even my family wasn't really helping or saying too much at all. So it was such a relief to know that there was other people who would actually help and actually cared too, you know.
Both Lippett and Weidman acknowledge the answers they're seeking aren't exactly heartwarming ones. Either their dads left them and started new lives and new families possibly, or they drowned in Lake Huron that day. Either way, the duo say they just want some answers.
I mean, he has a headstone that has no body underneath it. So I just kind of want an answer, whatever that answer is. Just one's fine.
I'm not going to get the answers I probably want to hear, but a closure for myself, for Tori, my kids, and my mom would be really nice.
They are somewhere. So, you know, we want to put in any effort that we can to locate these men.
In Bruce County, Scott Miller, CTV News.
A local charity is donating a life-saving piece of equipment to a southeast London Montessori school. As Lauren Stallone reports, the contribution was made in memory of a fallen London firefighter.
A peculiar new addition at Byron Woods Montessori School, but it could be a lifesaver.
We're here to donate our 216th defibrillator. This one is in memory of Donald Very, who was a captain in the London Fire Department.
He'd be quite humble about it, not to make a big deal of it.
But he'd be very, very grateful for life-saving measures to be available to people in a time of need.
The device was donated by the David Mounsey Memorial Fund, a charity that donates AED defibrillators in memory of law enforcement, fire, paramedic, and military members killed in the line of duty.
It's common for us to know the name of somebody who gave their life, but it's the families that carry that on. And by them sharing their stories with us, that person's legacy continues to live.
Patrick Armstrong started the fund in honor of his beloved friend and fellow OPP officer Dave Mounsey, who was killed in the line of duty in 2006.
He and his partner Brenda raised the money to donate a defibrillator to the local fire department, where Dave was a volunteer firefighter as well. And so after that donation that Dave unfortunately didn't live to see, myself and some like-minded people decided to continue that last act of kindness towards community.
Since 2009, the fund has saved 7 lives.
All of these professions are about saving people, and they're about being there at the right time, and that's what a defibrillator is.
And while the hope is that they'll never have to use it, the device will continue to save lives while honoring those who already gave theirs. Lauren Stallone, CTV News, London.
Coming up, Canada's premiers meeting in Ontario discussing the Prime Minister's vision of nation-building mega projects. Plus, American senators arriving on Canadian soil, confronting the divisive tariff issue.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's latest.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVLondon.ca, your home for news.
The Hayloft Music Festival is set to take over Listowel on Saturday, August 2nd with an all-Canadian lineup featuring Brett Kissel, Mackenzie Porter, the Prairie States, and more. Enter at ctvlondon.ca for your chance to win a pair of VIP tickets.
Canada's premiers and territorial leaders are meeting in the Muskokas this week. Indigenous leaders are also part of their discussions, so is the Prime Minister. As Rachel Aiello reports, the clock is ticking on a potential trade deal.
Well, first of all, I want to welcome everyone.
Premiers today kicked off the annual Summer Council of the Federation meeting at a critical time for the country.
Right now, our economy in all Canada suffers because of the uncertainty.
Facing intensifying tariff pressure from the U.S. and a looming deadline to reach a new trade deal, premiers have come to cottage country to work together to find ways to drive Canadian prosperity.
I'm feeling fantastic.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford is hosting the three-day meeting and started it off calling for a revived Buy Canadian push in every province and territory.
Start buying Canadian-made everything. We are an economic powerhouse, and we don't have to take a backseat to anyone.
Beyond buying local, premiers say Canada needs to build. And so today, they met with Indigenous leaders to talk about moving major new nation-building energy and infrastructure projects forward, an effort to find a way to get to a yes faster, while still ensuring First Nations leaders are consulted.
It's time now in 2025 that First Nations are at the table and that we have a bigger seat in this country.
Provincial and territorial leaders are also aiming to advance internal trade pacts while here, carrying on with work they've been doing this year to break down domestic barriers and find new markets.
These are all steps. They're steps in the right direction. We need to have free and open trade between our provinces. We need to have free and open trade on our continent with the U.S. and Mexico.
Tonight, premiers will be having dinner at Ford's nearby family cottage, a private planning session ahead of a big meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney tomorrow. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Huntsville, Ontario.
Several American senators flew into Ottawa today for tariff and trade conversations. With more on what they're hoping to accomplish, here's Mike Lecouture.
The group of bipartisan senators say they're here to build bridges, not to throw wrenches, as Canada and the U.S. attempt to hammer out a trade agreement. Now, all of them are opposed to the looming 35% tariffs on a number of Canadian goods.
Looking forward to it.
There was an air of positivity as the four American senators went into the meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney, and they felt progress was made 45 minutes later and in another meeting with Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand.
She says we have a framework within that we wish to operate. We have the frame, we need to make it work.
The senators said they discussed contentious issues like the digital services tax, which Canada has paused, and the decades-long dispute over Canadian softwood lumber exports.
I think we now have a clear idea of how to proceed, and that's to build around some sort of quota arrangement. And the Prime Minister said he was open to that.
How'd it go? It was good. Good meeting?
It was good. It's a very good meeting. Thank you very much.
Carney was tight-lipped at the conclusion of the meeting, but the minister in charge of trade with the U.S. was upbeat ahead of his meeting with that same group of senators.
Do you think we're going to get a deal with the United States?
Hope so.
Can we get a deal that doesn't include tariffs on them?
We're not going to discuss all this stuff. Now, asked if they believe a tariff-free deal is possible, Senator Murkowski said that's up to negotiators.
We all want to get to August 1st and beyond with a resolve that works for Canada and works for the United States.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that deadline and the threat of a 35% surtax will focus all trading partners.
I would think that a higher tariff level will put more pressure on those countries to come with better agreements.
And Canada has just 10 days to come up with agreement or face those punishing tariffs. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
And meteorologist Gary Archibald is with me tonight. Gary, we are off to a sunny start to the week so far.
Yes, you're right about that. Good evening, Carlyle. Good evening, folks. Beautiful conditions across the board. Southern Ontario seeing temperatures in the low to mid-20s. It's just been comfortable with a light breeze. Even felt coolish this morning, but comfortable. And we like that. Blue sky, taking in the gorgeous conditions late tonight in through the overnight. If you're a stargazer like myself, take advantage. Temperatures in the upper teens, low 20s. Really nothing to complain about. Kinds of temperatures that we enjoy late summer, perhaps the early fall, but we're getting a taste of that. The winds have helped keep us comfortable at the surface. Gusts really not too strong, but anywhere from about 15 to 20, 25 kilometer per hour wind gusts, especially when the surface temperatures are relatively cooler than seasonal, provides that extra comfort, the agreeability of being outdoors in warmth, sunshine, but not sweating, right? Humidity levels kept in check. The air quality has improved because the winds have helped to move along that stagnant air of last week. We will see increasing cloudiness through Wednesday, but I think Tuesday's mostly sunny, a bit hazy to start. And then Wednesday, a mixture of sun and cloud, perhaps maybe a light shower. For tonight, not a bad look. It's going to be gorgeous, in fact. Beautiful conditions through twilight, and then by midnight, a coolish 15 degrees. Our average overnight low, technically in the pre-dawn hours, is closer to about 14. We could see 11 at the airport in the great city of London. Take a look at the next 7 days. Highs and lows anticipated, courtesy of our good friends at Metal Roof Outlet. Sunshine for the next couple of days, warming up Wednesday into Thursday, 30 to 34, and then it's just cloudy with passing showers Thursday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, before we return to some fairer weather and temperatures in the mid to upper 20s a week from now on Monday. Midwest looking at a similar forecast, sunny and beautiful, mid to upper 20s the next couple of days. Then the showers are possible on Thursday, likely on Friday, and the weekend's mostly cloudy before we return to a cool Monday, a week from now. Yeah, down in the lower 20s. Wherever you are, enjoy the sunshine. Don't forget your sunscreen.
Thanks, Gary. Still ahead, calculating the trade war's impact. Officials with automaker Stellantis say U.S. tariffs will likely cost the company billions.
We've got your vacation plans sorted this year. We want to send you to beautiful Kelowna, BC for the CCMA Award.
Make sure you're listening at 7, 9, 11, 1, 3, and 5. We got keywords at those times, and that's how you win. Good luck.
More than 50,000 Canada Post employees began voting today on a new collective bargaining agreement. If they accept the new deal, it would resolve a contentious 18 months of negotiation. However, as Paul Hollingsworth reports, union leaders have told workers to vote no.
Voting has started, and employees are making a decision on what Canada Post calls its final offer. Canada Post is making a hard sell, encouraging unionized employees to vote yes on a new deal at a time when they say major changes are needed at the Postal Service.
Our parcel volume, our parcel share of the market, has gone from almost 2/3 to just over 20%. Obviously, that's going the wrong direction.
But letter carrier and local union president Dwayne Corner is urging his fellow members to vote no on what he calls an unacceptable offer.
A lot of the members that we've spoken to on the floor they agree that the the offer should be rejected.
A new collective bargaining agreement would see wages jump more than 13% while adding part-time workers. Concordia University economics professor Moshe Lander says the result of this vote could determine the future of Canada Post.
I have yet to understand why the government hasn't said we're going to shut this thing down in 5 years. I mean, if you say no to this, then for sure, you got 5 years, Canadians, figure out how you're going to live your lives without Canada Post, and we're done.
That is saber rattling. It's misrepresentation. The corporation has changed over the years, and the mail has dropped over the years. But there are ways for the corporation to make money.
Canada Post does remain popular with some Canadians, especially seniors.
It's supposed to be paid for by your taxes. It was created for that as a service for Canadians.
It's a valuable service, especially for those of us who are seniors and are not computer literate.
Employees have the option to vote online or by phone. Voting will conclude on August 1st. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
Car maker Stellantis is reporting a multi-billion-dollar loss for the first half of this year, blaming that in part on tariffs. As John Venavalley-Rao reports, it could be a sign of what's to come for the wider auto industry and what's at stake for thousands of Canadian auto workers.
Since last year, this Stellantis auto plant in Brampton, Ontario, has been shut down for retooling that was paused back in February and is yet to resume. And now, with word of the company's financial losses, in part related to tariffs, the workers are understandably worried.
Emotionally, it's very hard because there's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, we got 3,000 members in that Brampton assembly plant, 1,000 plus members that supply that plant and the parts supplier base.
Stellantis, which is known for brands like Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, and Fiat, reporting that the U.S. president's auto tariffs have so far cost the company $480 million Canadian as it cut vehicle shipments and some production. And the chief financial officer says the full-year tariff impact could be as much as $2.4 billion.
It won't help them, that's for sure. And Stellantis is already in a decent spot of trouble. They've run into all kinds of issues, particularly in the North American market.
The company has been struggling with slow sales and restructuring costs, and a new CEO was brought in 2 months ago after the previous one resigned under pressure. At Stellantis' Windsor, Ontario plant, operations were shut down for several weeks earlier this year, and workers were supposed to return to the Brampton plant by the end of this year, but the retooling remains on hold. Still, Stellantis continues to say it does not change our previously announced investment plans for Brampton.
A world with tariffs is unacceptable for us. A world with tariffs puts our plant in a vulnerable position, even more so than it is now. And not only for our plant, but all of Southern Ontario and the whole auto industry.
And despite that hefty tariff cost, the union rep remains confident the Brampton plant will make vehicles again, although when is not clear. John Venavalley-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
A long-standing furniture manufacturer in Eastern Ontario is closing down in a couple months. Company officials say it's because of trade war complications, and that'll put 300 workers out of a job. Josh Morano reports.
After 55 years, Bridgewood Industries in Cornwall is closing its doors.
We have lots of unemployment already in Cornwall.
300 people will lose their jobs, which is concerning for local residents like Pamela Bristow.
And if the local industry shut down, well, we're in real trouble.
The local manufacturer of ready-to-assemble furniture is set to shut down in September as U.S. tariffs continue and the trade war drags on.
The whole economic situation in Canada is changing, so we have to do our best to support Canada and to do what we can.
That's very sad that people are having to lose their jobs because of this.
The parent company, Dorel Industries, out of Quebec, citing factors including current challenges with the U.S. market and competition from overseas outsourcing.
This company manufactures furniture, which ultimately would be, much of it would be marketed in the United States, and the 35% tariff would make that business difficult for the company.
Last week, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to impose a 35% tariff on all Canadian goods starting August 1st. As a border city, Cornwall is vulnerable to the economic fallout.
This is just going to be a blow, and we're a border town, and there's crime here, and we need our jobs. We need help from the government.
Josh Morano, CTV News, Cornwall.
Canada's main stock index lost steam throughout the day, closing just a few points higher. In New York, the Dow lost 19, the Nasdaq added 79. The Canadian dollar up 0.14 on commodity markets. Gold gained nearly $50 an ounce. Oil dropped a dime a barrel. When we come back, a painful predicament. Ontario pharmacists dealing with a prescription shortage for painkillers. Welcome back. Grey Bruce public health officials have confirmed a bat's positive rabies test. It's the first confirmed case in the region this year. The bat had been sent for testing after a possible human exposure. Health officials say the risk of human transmission is low, but if contracted, it can be fatal. There were 91 rabies cases confirmed in Ontario wildlife last year. Pharmacists across southwestern Ontario are navigating a national painkiller shortage. Travis Fortnum has more on the prescription pressure and the stress for patients who may miss their dosage.
It's a go-to painkiller. Oxycodone combines oxycodone and acetaminophen into one pill. For many people, it's what keeps their pain in check. But right now, it's getting hard to come by. Health Canada warning of a national shortage, and pharmacists like Tim Brady are feeling the pressure.
It's scary. If you've been stabilized, you have chronic pain, you found medications that are working for you, then all of a sudden you come to the pharmacy and say we have none. You don't want to go back into that situation again.
A manufacturing issue combined with rising demand has triggered a supply crunch with no full doses left. Brady's making tough calls, limiting refills, splitting doses, and trying to help as many customers as possible with what little stock remains.
We're basically out now. We're hoping that we'll get some in again soon. You're trying to limit people to like 30-day supplies instead of 3 months, trying to make sure we can, spread it around so everybody gets some.
The warning from Health Canada came in mid-July, but pharmacists like Brady say the squeeze started weeks before that as shelves slowly emptied. At Windsor Regional Hospital, staff saw it coming too and started planning early.
We look at our stock levels, then we'll determine basically a date of when we anticipate that we're going to run out, and then we'll start working on a plan. We're going to start to restrict it to those patients and use alternatives for other patients.
Drug shortages are nothing new. Canada sees hundreds of them every year, but it is rare for such a common pill to be impacted. Experts say the global supply chain is fragile, and even a small hiccup can cause a big problem.
For one pill to end up in your vial, it probably has ingredients from multiple countries. It's gone through maybe 8-9 different factories. And so if something along that chain happens, you start to see a domino effect.
Health Canada says it's working with manufacturers to manage the shortage, calling drug access a top priority. Supply could return in the coming weeks.
When you have a drug that what we call is a fast mover, it's a commonly used medication, you also have people who are newly starting on it, but you have some patients who are on it for a long period of time. You're faced with a scenario where you have to make tough choices.
Brady says his team is doing everything they can, but the best thing customers can do is check in early and be patient.
It's not that we're trying to deny you the medications. We're not trying to make your life difficult. It's just we can't get any.
Travis Fortnum, CTV News.
New modeling shows superbugs could cause millions more people to die worldwide and cost the global economy just under $2 trillion by the year 2050. According to the British study, without concerted action, increased rates of antimicrobial resistance could lead to global annual GDP losses of $1.7 trillion over the next 25 years. The research found the U.S., the UK, and European economies would be hit the hardest. Activists are urging the federal government to renew Canada's support for fighting infectious diseases around the world. 24 civil society groups are asking the feds to commit $1.37 billion over the next 3 years to the global fund fighting AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. United Nations officials say the project has saved an estimated 65 million lives since it started in 2002. Officials with Global Affairs Canada say discussions on Canada's pledge are ongoing. Police in New York have charged a father from Montreal with second-degree murder after his young daughter was found dead after the pair traveled to the state on vacation. With the latest on the investigation, here's Jean-Pierre Beauchemin.
Luciano Fratolin appeared in court in New York State, charged in the murder of his young daughter, but also of concealing her remains. This after a massive search for the 9-year-old that ended yesterday with the discovery of Melina Fratolin's body in a shallow pond.
He fabricated the initial report of the abduction.
Police laid out what they say is the timeline of the young girl's last days. On July 11th, Melina and her father crossed legally into the United States for a planned vacation. They visited spots in Connecticut and traveled to New York City together. Police say that Melina's parents are estranged, that her mother in Montreal has custody.
She had no concerns for her daughter's safety while she was with him. She knew that he was taking her on this trip.
On July 19th, father and daughter were seen on surveillance video in Saratoga Springs, New York. An hour later, at about 6:30 p.m., Melina spoke to her mother by phone, telling her she was en route back home. At 10 p.m., New York police say a call comes in to 911.
The 9-year-old daughter was possibly abducted in a white van.
Authorities triggered an Amber Alert. The next day, law enforcement officers found a body. This an hour's drive from Lake George in a pond in Ticonderoga, New York. Fatolin is an entrepreneur who, according to a company website, holds Italian and Ethiopian citizenship and founded a coffee business. On that site, he describes his daughter as the light of his life and his inspiration. Federico Sanchez first met Fatolin at a Montreal coffee shop years ago. They chatted a few times over the years about life and family.
All I can tell you is that it would be a massive surprise to find out that he were guilty of such a thing.
The father will be back in court on Friday, and he has for now pleaded not guilty. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
A 14-year-old boy briefly appeared in court today, he is accused of fatally stabbing a senior last week. Police say the victim was loading groceries into her car in Toronto when she was attacked unprovoked. The teenage suspect can't be publicly identified because of the Youth Criminal Justice Act. He's been charged with second-degree murder. Actor Malcolm Jamal Warner has died. Warner was best known for playing Theodore Huxtable on The Cosby Show. According to a source close to him, he drowned in Costa Rica during a family vacation. He made his acting debut at 9 years old and quickly became a household name for his role as Bill Cosby's TV son. In addition to acting, Warner was also involved with music, winning a Grammy in 2015. He was 54 years old. Canadian swimming star Penny Oleksiak has been suspended. The 25-year-old from Toronto says she's accepted a voluntary suspension. She's been banned by the sport's governing body for failing to submit her whereabouts when requested by the International Testing Agency. In a now deleted social media post, Oleksiak wrote, "I am and have always been a clean athlete and will make no further comment at this time." Swimming Canada officials say they support Oleksiak's decision and believe she made an administrative mistake. Tomorrow on CTV News, preparing for a verdict. A judge's decision on the World Junior Sexual Assault trial expected later this week. We'll break down everything leading up to that moment tomorrow on CTV News at 6.
Let's take a look at our CTV News weather snapshot. Thanks to George Rosema for sending this in. This was from May, but I held on to it. It's such a great image of the northern lights seen from Sarnia. We're blessed with sunshine today, sunshine tomorrow, and perhaps through Wednesday with temperatures warming by that juncture into the low 30s before showers for the rest of the week. Do enjoy.
Canadian wildfire authorities say there are more than 500 burning across the country right now.
When we evacuated, I was so scared. I'd be devastated if I went back and found my house ashes.
In Newfoundland, residents in Musgrave Harbour have had to flee their homes. A state of emergency is being declared, with officials warning gusty winds have sent the town directly in the fire's line. As of this morning, that fire had burned more than 1,800 hectares. In Alberta, a town north of Edmonton is on alert because of a nearby wildfire. Slave Lake residents have been told to prepare for evacuation within 8 hours' notice. Officials say there are 60 active wildfires in Alberta right now, about a quarter of them out of control. Meanwhile, in Manitoba, wet weather this week is expected to provide some relief for fire crews in the province's north. However, city officials in Thompson, Manitoba say residents there need to remain cautious, warning thick smoke could complicate firefighting efforts. It was Pride weekend in London, featuring plenty of festivities, including what's known as the second largest Pride parade in the province, with more than 100 entries this year. Take a look.
So amazing to see such a fantastic turnout. You know, Londoners take Pride very seriously. It's a very accepting, progressive, and intelligent community that understands love is love.
Great. You know what? We're doing something really cool this year. We're doing a Pink Pony Club with our float here. Pink Pony Club is a huge song on Virgin Radio by Chapel Roan, so everyone's dressed in pink. We've got some ponies here, and this means a lot to us. We love being a part of the community here and just being, you know, accepting and you know, taking in the love that London has.
Love having Pride in July because it's like the party just keeps going on for Pride Month in June, and then we have the celebration here in London. It's all about inclusivity, acceptance. We see so many people come out for this. It's always bigger and bigger every year. Whether it's sunny over there, it's cloudy over there, it doesn't matter. It's great.
You can state that you are into equity and you're into supporting things. You need to model it and be a part of it. And I think for us that's very important for us. Just like the bus says here, everyone belongs in Thames Valley, and we are modeling that, and we want people to know that every student and family is welcome in Thames Valley.
Happy Pride! Happy Pride!
And leading this year's event, an honorary Grand Marshal recognized for her work not only supporting community members, but actively protecting them. Brent Lale reports.
A self-described rebel, Sister Patricia Derwain was front and center during the London Pride Parade.
It's a lifetime achievement. I've been an activist my entire life.
She's been recognized for her queer community activism. Wherever there's a drag story time in the region, Derwain and her band of guardians are likely there as protectors.
When I heard that there was trouble at the drag story times and the right-wing people were attending them and harassing the drag queens, I thought, well, I gotta go.
The group now has more than 1,000 members province-wide who protect performers, families, and children from anti-LGBTQS+ hate. The group was formed after a confrontation at a children's event in Park Hill in 2023, where her Win Sisters motorcycle club stepped in to fend off angry protesters.
It was a horrific show in Park Hill, and they attacked us verbally. You know, they interfered. They tried to get into the story time. And I'm like, it's performers dressed up, reading stories to children. And their obsession with that is unbelievable.
Her group of guardians often surround their performers during story time when they're at their most vulnerable.
I've dealt with a lot of hatred in my day, and one of the biggest and worst events I can remember was a story time in Ingersoll, Ontario, where the Guardians were there and they had their flags and the kids could come in peacefully. We were literally surrounded by haters within the library themselves, holding up signs all around us. But the Guardians slipped in between and created this entire barrier around.
A proud butch lesbian from Quebec, she encourages people to celebrate who they are every moment of every day. During Saturday's drag story time at Victoria Park, there were the usual protesters, but fewer and fewer are showing up recently.
I don't back down, and they know that. I do not step back. We're here to support our community, and I'm going to stand right in front of you, and I'm not moving. And they know that. And it makes them a little bit nuts.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest in the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Welcome back. Finally tonight, a young Canadian basketball player and his pursuit of greatness. As Kevin Fleming reports, the 10-year-old has carefully crafted a daily routine, published it in a book, hoping it can inspire other kids.
The
This is where you'll find Amarion Henry pretty much every day of the week. He spent more than 4,000 hours in the gym in the last 3 years training to be a professional basketball player.
Just watching all the NBA greats and the legends, and I'm like, one day I want to be like them and like be an icon to be known by the whole world.
He developed a routine that he follows daily to help him grow physically and mentally. His dad Arnold made a social media video of that routine that has had more than 6 million views.
A lot of parents reach out to us saying how that video really inspired their kids to go out there and chase their own dreams.
The two are no strangers to social media. In January, they posted a video that caught the attention of NBA star Stephen Curry, who gave them an all-expenses-paid trip to a game in Toronto where he took time to meet young Henry. Arnold is a published author and helped his son write his own book called Amarion's Routine for Success. And it's not just about basketball.
Like whatever sport that they want, and just so they can have the right foundation, and make sure you always have a routine if you are going to start a sport, so you know what you're going to do every single day.
Kelvin De La Pena owns the Rise Sports Complex and sees the passion in Amarion.
It's something special, man. You know, so you kind of laugh about it, but it's really truly special. He's no idea that he's inspiring the next generation. And now he has this book. You know, he goes to the U.S. and all these kids want to get his book. It's just amazing.
Amarion is going into grade 6 in the fall and says his book has been included in the school library, and his friends think that's pretty cool. Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Calgary.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For your latest local headlines, you can always head to our website. I'm back tonight with your late news at 11. Bye for now.